Ethan, is that your name?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, here's your question. Do you want to join the Navy to get set up for the future, or do you want to join the Navy to be a sailor?
It's a fair question.
Honestly, a little bit of both. But if I
Okay.
had to choose one thing, it'd probably be the future.
Reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Because I joined the Navy to be a sailor. And,
Yeah.
you know, that I had a lot of fun.
Yes.
But, I mean, I joined because I've seen too many John Wayne movies. And,
Dive. Code red in 4 compartment middle level.
Torpedoes in the water!
No, I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.
I'm not allowed.
Every time I start it, Dakota says something.
I eat stickers all the time, dude.
All right.
That needs to be a clip.
Welcome back, episode 6 of the Too Fast podcast. We have a new guest joining us, Patrick. Patrick, would you mind introducing yourself before we get started?
My name's Patrick. I was in the Navy for 8 years, and I'm from Kentucky. And unlike most of the hosts here, I was in the surface fleet out of San Diego for 5 years, and then I did my shore duty for as long as they let me, for about 2.5 years, I think it was, getting at the Naval Sub-School firefighting trainer, and that was awesome.
All right, cool. Do you want to talk about what you've done since the Navy, or you want to leave it at that?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I got out of the Navy in February of 2022. February 22nd, 2022 on a Tuesday, weirdly enough. And it was pretty abrupt. But after that, man, my buddy, my best friend I grew up with, he's like my brother, Nick, and he was like, hey, I know you're kind of getting fucked here. So I'm going to talk to my supervisor, and we could probably get you in over at this steel mill that I currently work at as a maintenance tech. And he was like, let me know if that's something you want to do. And so it sounded like something I wanted to do, just turning wrenches and hammering shit and doing basically what I did in the engine rooms on the ship and whatnot for 5 years when I was out in the fleet. And yeah, that worked out, man. They opened up a position specifically for me. I went in, I interviewed, and I've been there for like a little over 2 years now. So basically, I started there in late April of 2022, a couple of months after I got out. And dude, just loved it, and been doing it ever since. As a maintenance tech, you know.
You've been growing the beard since then?
No, dude, I actually been growing this beard since December, and
That's
part of what I do in like my off time now. I work on old junk fucking cars, and I got this 156 Chevy I'm working on right now, and I made a bet with my car club. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking cut my hair or cut my beard. The car's on the road, and it's pretty hard. And now that summer's coming, and fucking working in a fucking steel mill, it's kind of becoming uncomfortable. So it's more motivation to get this goddamn
I was gonna
car
say,
out.
how close are you to getting the car on the road?
Dude, I gotta wire the fucking thing. I gotta get a drive shaft. I gotta tune it. It's
If
like
you haven't
a lot
done
of
wiring
work.
harness, you've got a minute.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
cool.
what I do.
Well, thanks for coming on. And Amber, what are we talking about to start off?
So I've been kind of pulling the internet, talking to some friends, some family, and asking them like things that they want to know about life in the Navy or on a submarine. And somebody asked, what's the most exciting thing about living on a submarine? And for the surface guys, same question. Because I think the general public thinks that it'd be cool to live underwater.
I don't think the general public thinks that at all.
Yeah, I will say it's. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, that sounds really interesting," but I could never do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Is the answer that I get the most.
Yeah.
And then
I would-
told that like you're crazy or like you have to be fucking crazy to do that.
Yeah.
I get a lot of, ooh, that must be claustrophobic, or ooh, I'm too claustrophobic to do that.
Yep.
It is tight quarters, but it's not like claustrophobic. I mean,
It
claustrophobia is submarine disqualifying. You can't be.
It depends
diagnosed
on what you're
claustrophobic.
doing though. When
Yeah,
I
it
had
does,
to
it does.
literally crawl inside of the fucking R114, like
Yeah, there are tight
And
spaces, but there are
yeah.
tight spaces in every machinery like environment.
Yeah.
I think that the unique things are how small the racks are. Like you don't have a lot of space when you sleep. In fact, Jimmy once brought PlayStation VR underway so he could just lay flat in his rack with VR strapped to his face and play video games. But then he forgot that he was in VR and sat up in his bed and broke his PlayStation VR because it's like
Damn.
the overhead is a few inches from your face. So
I mean, it's the same coffin racks as like on surface ships,
yeah,
right?
well, yeah, they're a little tighter, but it's the same
Really?
concept. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's
Coolest
the most
thing.
exciting then?
Coolest thing, most exciting thing.
Because I mean I remember when Kenny first got his orders to go to a submarine, like he was excited. Like it was finally we talked
I
about
was
this
gonna
before, it
say
was game day.
it's either when you show up, or for me when we actually went on deployment. So it's like one, when you show up, the glamour hasn't like worn off yet. You don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, you're not jaded.
Yeah, you haven't like lost maybe not the enthusiasm, but you haven't like woken up to the shit you're about to get into. And then for me, like I was super fucking anxious to go on deployment, but after like a month or two, and then I went through this phase like, man, I fucking hate this. They don't tell me shit, blah blah blah. And then I just kind of like accepted it. It's like, well, that must mean we're doing some real shit.
Yeah.
Because we're like everybody's like tight-lipped, super quiet. Like
I think
nobody
I always
tells you
had a little
nothing.
bit of anxiety before every underway, and I
Yeah.
don't really know what it stemmed
Yeah.
from. Even when I was senior, I always had that like not really butterflies in my belly, but like an overall anxiousness of going underway.
Well, I think early on in our careers, it was more of like, I don't know what to expect. And then as we became more senior, it was, I really hope that I don't make this worse for the guys under me.
Yeah, that's true.
That definitely
it's a slippery
shifted at
slope.
some point.
You operate on the razor's edge. I mean, you miss an
Yeah.
hour of logs, and now your buddies are standing 12-hour watches to make up for your fuck up. So I don't know. There are exciting things that happen. I mean, like you get to do cool things in the middle of all the bullshit, but mostly it's bullshit. Like day to day, it's either monotonous or it's like you aren't sleeping because you're just doing drills all the time and cleaning.
Yeah. I would say some drills can be exciting.
Yeah.
And some of them can be super shitty, especially when you do a ton of them. Like
Yeah.
the first few like flooding drills you do, you're like, oh, it's fucking chaos. There's a lot of shit going on. And then after like the first handful, you're just like annoyed of it. Like, oh, cool, we can do a new flooding drill. Like, so now we're gonna stand around like jackasses.
Well,
Like, there's gonna be like,
it had to be exciting for you guys to like see the North Pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna lead into that. That's one of the.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Thanks for
you
rubbing it
didn't.
in.
You weren't there yet.
But whenever you get to do an exercise where it is a very one-off event, those events are exciting. The North Pole trip was really exciting. Being able to do the Steel Beach in the Bahamas,
Yep.
that was really cool.
And the ceremonies, we got to do Blue Nose, Shellback, Order Magellan, Order the Ditch, Golden Dragon. I mean, we got to do basically every like hazing ceremony that you could do. We got to do it.
We did 7. We did 7 of them.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, no, those are exciting.
Yeah.
All those special one-off events, because it pulls you out of that monotony.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes them so exciting, is because it's something out of the norm of the constant drab that Joe was talking about earlier.
How about the surface guys? Do you find anything exciting?
Yeah, I mean, surface ships and submarines, I mean, it seems like there's a complete disconnect when it comes to what we do on day to day when it comes to underway. I mean, yes, it is monotonous. We go underway. As engineering, we don't know why. It's just start the engines.
Yep.
Make sure all the fucking numbers are right, and let's go. Stand your watch, hit the rack, do your fucking PMs, whatever, you know. And but we got way more ports than anybody I've talked to in submarines. I mean, dude, I've been to like 10 plus countries. You know, I went all around South America in my first year in the Navy. You know,
That is cool.
Show back within like 2 months of being on the ship. I'm a plank owner on my ship. I went to the ship and it was still in the shipyard being built. And then 2 months later, we got under like the first underway.
What does it mean? What's it mean to be a plank owner?
It means you're the member of the first crew of that ship.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. It's like you get like a when you get shellback, you get the certificate.
Yeah.
You get one of those as being a plank owner too.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, so
It's for decomming as well.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
I've never done decom. I was only on one ship, but I mean, dude, like what's exciting about it is the traveling for surface sailors, like.
Yeah, port calls. I mean, I share that sentiment. Port calls were always very exciting. We just had so few of them.
Yeah, we had a lot.
Yeah.
Some for good and some other bad reasons, but I mean, when we were on our Westpac, I did one deployment on my ship, and we did a Westpac from summer of 2017 into like early 2018, and man, we hit Singapore 3 times on that deployment.
Jeez.
So I mean, it's just the traveling is the fun part. The rest of it's just fucking work.
Right.
Yeah.
Dakota?
Breakfast.
Good about living
Says the man that had unlimited access to ice cream. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And vending machines.
No, I think the coolest thing about living on the ship, being on the ship, is that when you're out to sea and you can go outside and enjoy the nice weather, if it is, at night you can look up at the stars and see all the stars. A lot of times you or your friends could get together at the end of the day and go out and smoke cigars topside, which was really cool, like a nice way to end the day. So I'd say that was like some of the coolest things about living. Some of the coolest things we did, though, like the other guys were saying, the one-offs that you get to do, like it's new for you, but it's new for like 90% of the crew too. Like maybe the captain's done it before, but that's like the extent. We were doing workups for deployment, and we did SWAT, which is something surface warfare testing, I don't know. And then we did also live fire with a purpose.
Ooh, nice.
So during SWAT, they would run speedboats, like fishing boats, like small, regular kind of boats next to us, and we actually got to try to shoot them to sink them, and we did, which was really cool. So we're firing the 5-inch, we're firing Sea Whiz, we got people on the fucking 50 cals,
costing the
and
taxpayer tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
so much fucking money.
You got Rihanna on the 50
around
cal.
for the 50 cal.
Yeah.
And so that was cool, like getting to see the guns hit the boats and sink the boats. I'm like, damn, that's really cool. And then when we did live fire with a purpose, I guess that was all part of the same thing, but we actually, the final event that we did was they launched a dummy missile at us from Point Magoo, which is off the coast of San Diego.
Home of Mr. Magoo, I assume.
And they were aiming they were aiming near us, like not to hit us, but the missile would have ended up landing like maybe 1 or 2 miles from the ship, 2 or 3 miles, I guess. But we got to shoot an SM-2, a live SM-2, and blow that missile out of the air on its way to us.
That's happening
that
in
was
the Middle East like every day right now, for real.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so those guys, it's not really a one-off for them anymore, but you could tell a lot of people on the ship was like, how often do you actually get to fire a missile out of VLS? It was really cool.
Yeah.
And we get to film it too, so it was really neat to see.
Oh, that's cool. I think to go back to submarines just for a second, I think that the culture on board has a lot to do with kind of like our sentiment, because the things that you do on a submarine, like when you do them for the first, well, let me put it this way. When civilians get to tour a submarine and they do all the submarine shit, it's really cool, right? Like they get to crawl through a torpedo tube, which we do. They get to see and use the showers and the bathrooms and all the like regular, this is how you live on a submarine. All that stuff can be really cool if it's pitched to you as like a sales pitch from the Navy of look how cool submarines are. But when you're stationed on a submarine, it's you're a fucking nub. Don't spend too long in the shower. All this shit sucks. Don't enjoy it. And so you're like berated with this negativity. And it's like, if you enjoy it, you will be an outcast. So you have to hate everything about it, or else you're the weirdo. And so there's not really like, oh, this is really cool. This is really exciting, because everybody around you is like, no, it fucking isn't. Get over it.
Yeah, you guys don't embrace the suck, dude?
Not at first. Not at first.
At first, for sure, yeah.
You know, the embrace the suck doesn't really come into play until after you get your dolphins.
Right.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. And like sitting around, when you're fully qualified and you hang out with all your buds on cruise mess and you're playing a big game of Mario Kart, and one of the players has a username of Eng is a cuck, and then the engineer joins your game of Mario Kart, like that shit's really fun. But you don't get to experience that until you've been on board for like a year and you finally get qualified, because then
you got your time, dude. It's like everywhere else. That's the disconnect with Surface, like because there's so many people, you know. It's fucking. We had like 800 sailors on my ship, you know. It was an amphib. So like, either people come in, and pins don't mean shit on Surface, dude. Like, as I came in I was an undead fireman, E1, dude, fucking less than nothing when I got there, right? And I left as an E5, but like I was like, hey, engineering's my wheelhouse. You know, I grew up fucking turning wrenches on junk, and this is what I'm gonna focus on, my fucking job, right? So I got all my engineering quals, got all my watch quals and everything, and I was like, fuck ESWAS, man. I won't get that shit unless somebody makes me do it. And dude, I was E5, no fucking ESWAS, top engineering quals for an E5. Like I was standing like chief watches and shit, you know. And my fucking master chief came in and he's like, dude, you have to get your ESWAT. You're going to fuck yourself on evals, because we got these people over here that are way below you on watch quals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they have ESWAT and they have air. So on paper, they look better. Right. But when it comes to performance, like, who are we going to call when shit hits the fan? You're the guy. So we're torn on who we're going to give like the EP to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shit,
that's some legit advice though.
Yeah, he was cool for that. So I was like, okay, I'll figure out a way to do it. All of it was easily memorized except for the shit where it's like a diagram of the boat, right? And it's like A through fucking G. It's like, what's this piece of equipment? What's this radar? You know, like fill in the blank, this line to this part of the picture or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, ain't no way I'm gonna remember that shit. You know, I got like 3 hours to like do the fucking written test. I was like, dude, I wrote the answers within my tattoos.
Oh, Prison Break style.
Yes. And the reason that ESWAS really became a big thing for surface fleet is because the USS Cole, I think it was, when they were like, okay, this crazy shit's happening, and basically everybody needs to kind of know how to do everybody else's job. But that's just some corporate shit that they came up with, and that's not how it is, you know.
Yeah, the Cole got blown up by terrorists. I think it was a fishing vessel, some small craft.
Yeah, it was like a fucking kayak with a bomb in it.
Rigged with explosives, came alongside and blew him up. Blew a big hole in the side.
Yeah, I can't remember what country that was. Syria, maybe, or something.
How does that correlate to everybody needing to know how to do everyone else's
I think it was in Yemen.
Yemen, that's what it was, yeah. And I heard a story about that, a side story. I don't know if it's true or not, just some fucking Navy talk. But so it was like a canoe that came up next to the boat with a fucking bomb in it. But the day before that, I heard, don't know if it's true, but the guys standing deck watch, they said that they tried to do it the day before, and their fucking kayak, it sank, right? They fucking tipped it over or some shit, right? And the next day, the guys on the deck watch were like, what the fuck are these guys doing, you know? Yeah. And next day, the fucking successful one happened, blew the fucking hole in the side of the boat. And they had Navy divers go down and investigate what the fuck happened with the other one. And then they found a fucking package on it, dude.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if that's true or not. I just heard that.
Well, we're going to include it like it's true, so.
You said it, so it must be true.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Amber, what was your question?
Hold on, while we're talking about the coal.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Amber.
No, it's okay. It's the same.
Oh, sorry. My CSMM on my ship was on the coal when that happened.
What's that acronym?
It's Combat Systems Maintenance something.
Okay.
It's usually a FC Master Chief.
Okay.
Okay.
He was old as shit, but he was on the Cole when that shit happened, and that dude had wild PTSD. He had
Yeah,
2
no
Purple
kidding.
Hearts. Yeah.
Holy shit.
God.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead, Amber.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know why the USS Cole then led to everybody needing to do everyone else's job.
Oh, they thought it's one of those like big Navy decisions. Like, hey, if this guy dies, this guy should be able to vaguely be able to do his job.
Oh, I see. Were there fatalities?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, Dakota
Yeah, I
mentioned
think
this.
one of their like berthings like flooded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, several compartments flooded.
Yeah, sorry.
I think the engine room. I think one of the main engine rooms got flooded.
Dakota mentioned this in the previous episode, which is like, you want to train all the guys across as many disciplines as you can, in case we go to war or some crazy event like that happens. Then
on paper it makes sense, but I mean, fuck, man, I'm not gonna go get an IT and tell them to come down.
It's really hard to like implement.
You could. Hypothetically, you could. Of course, you couldn't actually do that because they wouldn't work. But
yeah, exactly.
Like if all the electricians or like most electricians die on deployment or something, like could you plug and play a mechanic as the electrical operator to operate the plant? After a little bit of hands-on training, sure, but at that point, you're basically
on submarines. You're not going to lose very many individuals. You're going to lose a crew, or you're not. But on the surface, it's more likely that you'll lose some people.
Yeah, on the surface, they even want us as mechanics pulling fucking fuses, dude. Yeah, and I'm like, fucking fuse. My channel locks.
That is not my job. All right. Any other questions?
No, I think that segment's good.
I was on the Navy Nuke subreddit and I saw somebody make a post asking questions about being a nuke and wondering whether or not they should do it. And so I invited them on the podcast. We're going to have them on. They're going to ask us questions about what it's like to be a nuke, whether they should do it, whether they shouldn't. But just for anybody who's watching this, if you guys want to be a guest on the podcast, if you want to get the advice of actual Navy nukes, feel free to leave us a comment or anything like that, and we'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, we can broaden it past that too. If you are going to become an officer or thinking about becoming an officer or a surface conventional mechanic, we can find someone to answer all the questions. So
yeah, I went through State 21, so I can answer questions about a lot of the commissioning programs. Jimmy was a recruiter, so he probably knows a lot of stuff about other stuff.
I mean, we have a former undead, so literally a guy who came from like
that's true.
Essentially, very beginning, like blank slate.
All right, we have our special guest, Ethan. Ethan, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you before we get started?
I'm Ethan. I'm from Oklahoma. I've been talking with a recruiter, scored a 90 my ASVAB, and I'm trying to get into the nuke program.
All right.
Right on.
Right. Cool.
What questions you got for us?
I have a list right here.
Let's do it.
First things first, would you recommend any other jobs other than nukes?
Yep, conventional machinist mate. Surface.
So that's what Patrick did. He was a conventional machinist mate, and he did not volunteer for submarines. Okay. And he apparently liked that job because he's recommending it.
Hell yeah. You want to travel? You want to have fun? You want to see some shit? Do that.
Okay.
Look, hang on. Yeah, don't move on yet.
Yeah, we got a lot to tell you.
Okay.
If I can try to lead, this may sound like an open-ended question, but what's interesting you about doing this, and like, what are you hoping to get out of one, just joining the Navy / to the nuke program in particular?
Well, back in high school, I had 2 Navy nukes come in and talk to me about their job. Well, not just me, but the whole class about their job. And they made it seem really interesting and fun and something that like could set me up for life, Like
it definitely could set you up for life.
Yeah.
What type of things do you enjoy doing now?
I'm on it. It sounds a little shallow, but I'm on it. I can do pretty much any job, like as long as I'm getting paid for it,
So you don't mind the work, really?
You can do it or you will do it.
Yeah.
That's 2 different things.
What'd you say?
So you can do it or you will do it? I mean, it's two
I
different
can.
things.
I can definitely do it. I will both.
Really?
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
go ahead, Joe.
So, yeah. So, especially if you're thinking about like future implications, yes. Well, one, especially now, your signing bonus is going to be fucking stupid good. And then if you reenlist, you're going to have a stupid big reenlistment bonus.
Yeah.
Like, so my signing bonus was like a quarter of what it is now. But I reenlisted and now I bought a house at 24. And I don't mean that to sound like bragging or anything. Like, I'm in a good position, right?
Yeah.
Especially with how shit is fucked right now. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard to buy a home, you know? But I got very lucky. I had a lot of circumstances like turn out for the better for me. I moved to South Carolina in 2020, which was like that was like perfect timing, right? So again, I got into a good I got very lucky in that regard.
Joe, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm saying that like I got a fuck ton of money.
Ethan, go back in time and move to South Carolina in 2020 and you'll be good, dude.
Your interest rate could be
I can
great.
see where you're saying with that. Yeah, because Kenny, we were in the north in 2020.
Yeah, I know.
That shit was behind enemy lines, dude.
No,
that's true.
Because interest rates were super low.
Yeah,
and
that's not going to help him.
Okay.
Fine, whatever.
Okay.
I guess I was just trying to be like, I was trying to preface it. Get rid of that. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
You're going to get a ton of money, and you're not going to know what to do with it. But that's...
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the Navy is, like, very much hurting for people. There's 22,000 gaps in sea billets right now. And so they're going to... You will be financially incentivized to join the Navy, period. More so than when we were in.
More so ever.
More so than ever.
Yeah.
That being said, there is no financial comparison. Like, if you are a nuke, you are going to make the most money, bar none, by quite a bit. But that doesn't mean that there's not good jobs that aren't in the nuclear field.
It depends on what...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done. No, I thought you were done.
That being a nuke is challenging, and it takes a very long time to actually get to the fleet, like get to a boat or a ship. And so I know
it'll be 2 years.
Yeah, like doing the work or being willing to do the work is one thing, but it's 2 years of like the hardest college course the Navy could put together, shoved down your throat before you get there. And I'm not saying that to dissuade you. I'm just saying that so that you know what to expect when you go.
Okay.
It depends on what you want to do and what you want to get out of it. If you want to be set up in money and in training for whenever you get out, the nuke is great. If you want a job that you have a lot of fucking free time so you can do college classes on the side, probably not nuke is good for you. If you have interests like computers, I would say go IT. If you want to fucking shoot things, I would go gunner's mate. Like, it's all what you want to get out of it, you know? But I'd say for nuke, what you will get out of it is you will have a lot more money than your peers, and you will very easily be able to get a job when you get out.
You're going to be
easier,
able to...
Maybe not very easy, but easier.
And one of the things that Dakota is trying to get at with, and Joe was trying to get at with the whole you're going to be more financially set up as a nuke, is mainly because the advancement rate that you're going to advance and rank is going to be a lot, it's going to be more steep than some of the other rates. And then with those re-enlistment bonuses, they're going to be the highest that the Navy's going to give out. Your original sign-on bonus is going to be the highest of probably anybody else of your peer group with a similar time frame. So those are nice things to keep in mind. But my biggest thing is it's a very rigorous training regimen. It is not going to be as hey bud. It is not going to be as easy to get through. The amount of work that they put us through in school. Again, it's a rigorous schooling process. It is you train on a moored training vessel or in a building that is kind of assembled to operate like a actual at sea plant. And then you show up to a boat and you're expected to be able to take all the knowledge that you've learned and learn your ship and apply it as quickly as possible.
And I'm sure Mike would like to tell you that it's not nuclear weapons, it's nuclear power.
Yeah.
He's seen the episodes. He knows.
Yeah.
I got a question. What, Ethan? Is that your name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, here's a question. Do you want to join the Navy to get set up for the future, or do you want to join the Navy to be a fucking sailor?
It's a fair question.
Honestly, a little bit of both. But if I had to choose one thing, it'd probably be the future.
Reasonable, right? Because I joined the Navy to be a fucking sailor. And, you know, that I had a lot of fucking fun in the Navy.
The beard will tell you he's not a sailor anymore.
No, but he was more of a sailor than we got to be.
Yeah.
Yes. But I joined because I've seen too many fucking John Wayne movies, and I just wanted to get out of my hometown and travel and just get into some different shit, and learn some skills along the way, of course. But serve my country too, because I'm a fucking patriot. Obviously, I stole this flag from
Stole this flag.
All right, Ethan. What's
your next question?
Give me a second. Let me open my phone again. How hard is it to get a degree as a nuke in the military?
Very difficult.
While you're in?
Yeah.
While you're in, it's going to be almost impossible. I'm going to be honest. Unless
you're
are
gonna
on
be busy.
Yeah, unless you're on shore duty.
Yeah.
When you're at sea, you're going to be attached to a ship. Your first ship, you're going to be there for 4 years. Okay, if not longer.
Probably longer.
Probably longer. Those 4 years, it is going to be almost impossible for you to do anything outside of the ship. I'm going to be very straight up with you. Especially if you go submarines, you go ahead and take that out. All right, hold on a second. Let me restart over so my son's not yelling McQueen. Yeah. It's going to be very difficult for you to be able to do college life while being enlisted on a submarine. On a surface boat, I imagine it would be very similar, maybe a hair easier, but just
the only
as
thing that would make it easier
insane.
You can be.
I give it a hair easier, yeah. But I mean, it really depends on your command and where they're at the time. And I mean, fuck, if you're on a boat for 5 years, which I mean, I did about 5.5 on mine, and I didn't have any time to do any of that shit. Nor did I have any interest to whatsoever. But because it was just work and party for me the whole time I was in.
I was gonna say, I think when you're not on the boat, you're trying to be not on the boat. You don't want to do school. You don't want to do more work. Mm-mm. You want to go and have fun or relax or meet people.
Yeah, there's no schedule, right? Exactly. You show up at 7, right? You show up at 7 a.m. That much is guaranteed. Quarters is 0700, but you don't know when the fuck you're going home.
That's right. And colleges don't care. No. They're not going to cater your schedule to, I have a deployment in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, well, see ya. Yeah. All right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Well, piling onto that, I heard there's a program to become an officer, right?
There's several.
And I know it's really hard to get into those, but I've heard nukes had a higher chance than most.
Dakota, this
yes.
Is all you.
All right, so one of the programs is called State 21, Seaman to Admiral 21. That's the one I did. They take 50 sailors a year from the entire Navy. 50. 35 of those are guaranteed to be nukes. So
your chances are better.
Yeah, your chances are better.
It's not the only option. Right?
I was going to say, is that something you apply for, or like something they ask you to do?
No, you apply for it if you want it. You can also apply for OCS if you already have a degree. Or you can apply to go to the Naval Academy, but that's even less people that they pick up for that.
Okay.
Yeah, don't you have to have a referral from a congressman or something?
That helps.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for the Naval Academy you do. I think it has to be from a
senator, maybe.
Yeah, a senator, one of your state senators. But
yeah.
I didn't need that for State 21. So.
So we're still on the topic for education?
No. He asked about officer programs.
Oh, gotcha.
So, would you guys recommend doing officer over enlisted?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can, yeah.
In the
If it's-
aggregate, yes.
For sure.
It depends on what you want to do, Ethan. In the long run, do you want to make a career out of it? Do you want to just join and then get your GI Bill and then go to college with skills and be able to apply yourself? Sure. But in the aggregate, I think life would be significantly better joining as an officer up front.
Do you want to be a white collar worker or a blue collar worker?
Those are your options.
Okay, that makes sense.
What else you got, Ethan?
Would you recommend being on a sub or a boat?
Boat.
So this is not important for you, but submarines are boats, and surface ships are ships.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it, man. You're not in the Navy yet.
Yeah, it doesn't
Not the
matter.
Navy.
Get the
that
fuck
is-
out.
So you're talking to 3 ex-submariners and then 1. So Dakota was a sub-vol. He's volunteered for submarine service, but went surface before he got there.
Okay.
And Patrick was on the surface. That's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
I would recommend surface.
Okay.
I would
Yep.
too.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say
I was in the sub community briefly in an instructor capacity. So
True. Look,
I know it can't.
submarines are cool. The crew is tight knit. You do some cool things, but it's not worth $125 a month that they give you. It should be 10 times that, and I still probably would recommend go surface.
Okay.
I went sub specifically because when I found out I could only go carrier or sub, and they were like, "There's like 5,000 people on a carrier." I was like, "That's too fucking much." Like, that blew my mind. I was like, "Give me a sub." Like, I want a smaller crew. I can't handle 5,000 people.
Okay. Does that help? Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Hey, do you like women?
That's what?
Hey, there's some
Yeah,
women on
deal.
submarines now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're officers, right?
Most of them.
Nope.
Yes.
There, I know there are some chiefs,
I bet they're-
and first classes. I've
Ooh.
definitely met a first class female submariner.
This is for another time. Ethan, you can ask your next question.
Okay. Do the subs have a gym on board?
Good
Or
question.
Good
so
question.
there's different types of submarines.
I know there's 3, right?
Yep. So the ballistic missile submarines and the guided missile submarines are quite a bit bigger, and they have something closer to a gym. They have like dedicated areas where workout equipment is, and there's nothing else. If you go to a fast attack submarine, which is not really going to be your choice, it's kind of just wherever they can fit it, and there's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
So there, we had a treadmill, which was you couldn't run too close to the control panel, or you would hit your head on a pipe.
Okay.
We had 2 exercise bikes. Was there 2? I only ever saw 1.
Okay, there's always 2, but only 1 worked.
Yeah. So, and those are just on the far end of the back end of the boat, just hidden amongst machinery. We had a row machine, which sometimes worked, and it was more of an annoyance because it blocked one of the 2 options for walking around. And then we had a set of dumbbells that was just thrown somewhere in one of the oil bays.
Nice.
Power blocks. They
Power
weren't
blocks,
dumbbells. They were
Excuse me.
power blocks.
Yeah.
But it's still that for C. Yeah, so there's not really a gym on any class of submarine. Some of them have something close to it, but not like you're picturing.
Okay.
Aircraft carriers have multiple gyms on board, and they're all well equipped.
There you go.
My ship is an amphib, and it had a full gym.
There you go.
Go whenever the hell you wanted.
Okay. Want me to move on?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big are the subs?
So the fast attack submarines, the Virginia classes, are about 350 feet.
Okay.
They feel much smaller because that's not all people space.
Yeah.
And the ballistic missile submarines are 550. Is that right?
Sounds about right.
About 550. You can Wikipedia that. That's not classified information, but
Okay.
they feel smaller than they are, but they're also bigger than they probably are in your brain. So
Okay.
That's a good way to put it.
yeah,
There's also multiple floors, which I don't think I didn't even picture that.
true.
Okay. Is Star Re-enlistment a good program?
Yes. Next question.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
I'm just kidding. We don't have to move on from that.
That's what I was trying to talk about earlier when
Go
I
ahead,
said
Joe.
like I re-enlisted and I got a fuck ton of money. Because one, you automatically put on E5, so you will just be a higher pay grade, and then two, the upfront bonus now it depends on like when you re-enlist, but it's usually going to be 6 figures plus, like
Okay.
100K.
It'll be over 6
plus.
Yeah.
Is that a submarine thing?
Nope. It's
That's just a nuke thing.
It's a nuke thing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But that 6 figure that you're talking about, that is not upfront, right? That's like over the course of the re-enlistment.
Isn't it? I was told it was half up
for
front.
Okay, yeah. So for a Star Re-enlistment, depending on how much time that you sign on extra, because you're basically going to convert some of your reservist time into active duty time to meet demand, basically, because you're basically saying, hey, I want to do this, but you got to get paid up pay the Navy back on the back end, basically with your time. So you'll immediately put on rank.
I think you should explain that more thoroughly.
Okay. So when you
Ethan's
originally
never
sign,
seen a Navy contract, you know?
Yeah,
okay,
not yet.
Cool, perfect. So when you sign your contract for a nuke contract specifically, you're going to sign a contract that says you are going to serve in active duty capacity for 6 years, and you're going to serve in a reservist mode for 2 years. So your contract is for 8 years long. When you decide to Star Re-enlist, they are going to ensure that they get enough time out of you. So basically, my Star Re-enlistment was 6 years, and it converted 2 of those years of my reservist time into active, and then tacked on some more months to make it so from the day that I Star Re-enlisted, I would get out 6 years later.
Okay.
My
if I
Star
can
Re-enlistment.
just interject real quick, this isn't reservist like what you'll see on like TV. It's like you're in a pool to get drafted first or something.
Right.
It's called IRR, Individual Ready Reserve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like you go do your drills on the weekends. Reserved.
Yes. So thank you guys for clarifying that. But yes, your Star Re-enlistment bonus, they will pay you half of it up front. It is taxed as much as you think an incentive bonus would be. And then that half up front, and then every year on the anniversary that you sign your Star Re-enlistment, you will receive a fractional portion of the remainder 10%. Up until the day that you get out.
Okay.
But something that gets overlooked a lot with Star Re-enlistment is that automatic advancement to E5 that Joe was talking about. When you make E5, you kind of unlock a whole bunch of perks that you don't get before that rank. So E5 is the first time that you're automatically eligible to receive housing allowance and live out in town, which is like a big deal. It's a lot of extra money, and you don't have to live in a barracks room, which is super nice. So Star Re-enlistment is a good program.
I'll say one more thing about it before we move on. You're first eligible to do Star Re-enlisting at your 2-year point, or when you finish the pipeline, whichever is sooner. But usually it's about your 2-year point. So at your 2-year point, you have 4 more years to serve active.
I think it's Dakota. I think it's whichever is later.
That's what I said.
Okay.
If I didn't say that, then yes, I did.
Okay.
It's your 2-year point or your graduation, whichever's later. So at that point, you have 4 years left to serve on your original contract, plus 2 in the IRR. If you Star Re-enlist, then you have to serve 6 years and then a little bit in IRR. So you're basically at your 2-year point, just adding 2 years onto the end of your contract is kind of what it comes out to be. And you get paid 6 figures to put on 2 more years. So
and most of the time that will result in you transferring to a shore duty to end your time on that contract, which is
end on a shore duty is
good
nice.
Deal.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Answer your question?
Yeah.
Completely.
Right. Would any of you ever re-enlist?
I did re-enlist.
Well, I'm saying again.
You mean rejoin?
Okay. Great question.
If I may, because
Well,
Yeah, go
actually,
ahead, Joe.
let's let Joe go because he's active.
yeah. So
Kind
I think we all So me, Kenny, and Mike definitely re-enlisted. I don't know
I
about
still
you.
re-enlisted. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was talking about Patrick, because I don't know if he did or not.
Yeah, I re-enlisted.
Okay. Yeah. So
But-
we all re-enlisted and got out from shore duty. I was looking down the barrel of I was like a year out from my end date, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And that's when you start becoming eligible for orders. And I was like, that's when it dawned on me. It's like, dude, I have no fucking desire to go back to sea. Fuck that. So I actually got out. I'm in the Air Force Reserve now. So I still, I like cosplay military a little bit, but
Oh yeah,
like I said, it was staring me in the face because I had no idea what else was going on. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go out, or I got out. I'm going to college, and I'm in the reserves now. So I had to really. I'll just end it there. Yeah.
Ethan, I'll tell you that
No.
I would say no. I would not re-enlist now, and the reason for that is because I waited to start a family until I got out, and I would not want to have a family, especially children, while I was in. But that's a very personal thing, and that's my reason.
Yeah, that's.
I ended up getting out for a lot of the same reason. I just wanted to spend more time with my family. I have 2 kids, but everybody's different, right? Because some people, it's like their calling, right? They really, really love their job. They're not interested in having a family. Those guys stay in for their whole careers and they love it. So it just really comes down to how you think. What's important is that there's no wrong answer. Whatever you choose to do.
There's people who stay in because they have a family.
Yeah.
And they don't know what life will look like outside of Navy.
Yeah,
Some people hate being around their families.
What do you think about guys that stay in because they don't really know anything else? I mean, Kenny, I was on a fast track to that, really, man. For real. I didn't have anything. Just single E5 dude doing his thing, and the Navy was my life because it's the only thing I'd known. Dude, it was like my first real job. It's my first direct deposit job, you know, and I was good at it. So
would you enlist again now?
If I was still in, dude, I don't know, because I read too many books and shit about and they look at the way things are going on a geopolitical spectrum, right?
Are you about to get philosophical on us?
He's gonna get political on us.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you believe in the America idea right now?
Oh my God! Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
Next question.
Did we answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was told I'm A1 for nukes. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
A1. You're the best.
Okay.
Well, can you
steak sauce?
Yeah, you're the best steak sauce. You're the best sauce. You are A1.
Can you try to give some your recruiter told you that when?
No. So after I took the PICAT, because I didn't take the ASVAB, I took the PICAT, and I confirmed my scores yesterday.
Okay.
Not yesterday. I don't remember. I confirmed my scores. I know that. So I got a 90, and then apparently I got all the right stuff for nukes. I got all right line scores for nukes, and they called was it a captain? I think called my recruiter, talking about me and asking about me because he got the score instantly or something, and he said I'm on A1 for nuke. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means either, dude. Sorry.
But we will relay that information to Jimmy, who is our resident recruiter, and we'll let you know. I can have Dakota let you know in Reddit.
Okay.
I think if we had to guess, if a captain is calling your recruiter, that means he's gonna bust ass to try and get you to sign that contract.
Correct.
Probably not going to leave you alone for the next couple months.
Yeah. I imagine for their sake, A1 means this is a prime candidate for the nuke program, so it's not going to be very difficult for us to get him in through MEPS.
Yeah. Look, I got me and Dakota both had 98s on our ASVAB. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a 97.
Yeah, so I never no one ever referred to us as A1 for nuke. So
That might also just be like slang. Like
Yeah, I feel like that's
way
just
to
like
say
a
it. Yeah.
weird way to say good job.
Okay.
But we'll let you know if we find out something else.
Yes.
Okay. Is what's in my contract like 100% guaranteed for me? Because I've heard some stories of people getting screwed out of the contract or something like that.
Contract's a contract unless you break it.
Nope.
Maybe you won't break it.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you do the nuke program, they're going to invest so much of their money into you. They are absolutely not going to break their end of the contract on you. I guarantee it.
Okay. Is there anything I should know before boot camp?
You won't know your job until you get there.
If you're asking about, are you asking about to make boot camp easier?
Sorry, is there anything I should know or be doing before boot camp? That was my question.
I mean, work out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jog. Go for some runs.
Get in shape. Get in shape. Do push-ups.
Not that big of a deal.
I think it's like
probably even less a big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a bunch of incentives, especially as like a nuke. I think it's
good
like
point, Joe.
5 or like 10,000 to get it good on your first PFT in boot camp, which is not that hard. I don't know what the metrics are off the top of my head for a 21-year-old.
Ethan, if you're gonna move forward, you need to ask your recruiter about what Joe just said.
Yeah, just talk to your recruiter, man.
Ask him if there's an incentive based on your performance in boot camp, and then find out what those metrics are, and make sure you can meet those metrics because you don't want to leave free money on the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as like boot camp itself, it's going to be the only thing in your world for a while, but try to not let it overwhelm you. It's really pretty easy, especially for a smart guy.
Yeah.
If you learn the things that you're supposed to learn, like your general orders and your chain of command and all the insignia, it's going to be very easy.
Yeah.
And you'll make really good friends there too. I mean, Kenny and Dakota, they went to boot camp together, didn't serve at all together, and here they are 10 years later, and they're still
Well, we served together.
Well,
we went to school together, but
if you mean like the tip and tricks or whatever, like lay low. Try don't advertise you're a nuke because that like makes the RDCs like gravitate towards you. If they don't know your name, that's like good. And what I wanted to say earlier is you'll sign a contract for a nuke, but you're not going to sign for like what your rate is.
Yeah, good
and
point.
you won't know that until you get to boot camp when they just fucking pick it. Like they ask you because there's 3 rates, right? They're like, do you want to be a mechanic, electrician, or ET, like technician? It doesn't fucking matter. They're just gonna pick one. So I guess
none of you picked one?
No, we all picked.
Well,
We all give them your.
But it doesn't actually like influence what you get.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned in one of the episodes that I originally had selected electrician's mate, and I got selected as an MM to go to the fleet.
There you go.
So, Ethan, are you with us? Do you know what we're talking about still?
Yeah, I do. I watched your first episode, and that's the one he was talking about.
Have we confused you with what were the rates or anything like that? Okay.
No. You guys said that is it EM is the worst one?
Yes, don't pick that.
Yeah,
even
if EM
Yeah.
is the toughest. Like that's the fucking.
You may get it, and if you get it, feel free to come back on the podcast, and we'll tell you how to get through it. But
yeah,
don't put that as your bottom choice. Even if you think that it sounds the best in that brief, it's the worst. I promise.
Okay.
Do you think that's exclusive to submarines?
Why is it the worst?
So it's the worst because you own a bunch of equipment that requires a fuck ton of maintenance. Like you have nuke maintenance and you have non-nuke maintenance on electrical equipment. There's a little bit less if you go to a newer submarine.
Yeah.
But by and large, you have so much maintenance that it's not even worth the. And for a long time, I don't know if this is still true or not, but for a long time, the re-enlistment bonuses for electricians was the lowest. And that's just how
I'll throw
that's
something in on that. So I do think there is a little bit of difference between sub and surface. For submarines, correct me if I'm wrong, the only electricians on board are nuke electricians.
Yes.
Yeah.
EMs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the only EMs are nukes.
So I think on a carrier, they have nuke EMs and they have conventional EMs. So you're not doing all of the EM maintenance as a nuke EM on a carrier.
Right.
On
I
was an EM.
on submarines, technically, it's your responsibility as a nuke electrician to electrical safety check everyone's personal electronics. Like, it is an overwhelming amount of work that you have to do.
I was an electrician all the way through power school and prototype, and then I was an instructor at prototype. I really liked the theoretical side of it. I never really did a lot of the maintenance stuff, but I think if I would have gone to a carrier and been an EM, I would have been happy.
If you prefer electronics and work like that, then you should pick electronics technician as your top. And I mean, you can put EM as your second if that's really the kind of work that you like. If you're more of a valve turner, wrench turner, like work on actual mechanical systems, then put machinist mate.
Okay.
Knuckle dragger.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did we answer your question?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
I've heard Navy. I've heard nukes are the first on, last off of a ship or sub. Does that mean I wouldn't be able to get as much time, like, to enjoy the foreign locations I go to?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's engineering
yes.
as a whole. Dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Patrick's right. That is engineering as a whole. But specifically, if you're a nuke, when you pull into port or home port or foreign port or whatever, everyone does the things that they do to, like, shut down and be in port, and then they leave. You are shutting down a nuclear reactor, and then you're doing all the things you have to do to be shut down, and then you get to leave.
Well,
So yes, you have less time.
first and foremost, you're waiting on the ship bubbas to get shore power hooked up to your boat before you can shut down.
That's right. Good point.
So that decision isn't even really, like, up to you, because we've had numerous times where you just wait for like 8 fucking hours for one stupid reason or another, and then it's like 9 o'clock at night, and they're like, "All right, now you get to shut down."
Ethan, we lost Mike. So, Amber, you got something real quick?
I was just gonna say, I never got to see a pull-in because Kenny always said, "I will not be up there, so don't waste your time coming."
Yeah. So Amber's my wife, and I would tell her, "Hey, we're pulling in this day. Don't come because I won't be out of the submarine for several hours after we pull in."
Yeah.
And there were times where he didn't come home that day. There would be times where he came home the next day.
That's right.
It's no different.
Yeah, I imagine so.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait for shore power to get hooked up, and then we gotta shut down the. We had a gas turbine propulsion system in our engine rooms, and we had stuff we had to fucking do for that. So we were there at least at best 4 hours after everybody else walked off the fucking brow.
Okay. So if you want to be a rate that gets, if you want to be the rate that gets off first and on last, so the opposite of that, you should look at OS, operational specialist.
Yep, OS. That's only a surface rate. Some OSs don't actually ever even go to a carrier. One of my best friends growing up was an OS who only had shore duty. But if you want to go submarines, pretty much any conventional rate except mechanic will get off much faster and come on much later than the nukes. So on the flip side of that, when you're getting ready to leave port, the nukes have to start up a reactor and then get ready to leave, whereas everybody else just shows up and we hit the road.
Yeah, those 3 a.m. startup briefs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a piss.
Yeah, Ethan, we're gonna take a quick break if that's cool.
Okay.
Okay. Ethan, did we answer the previous question already?
Yeah.
Okay, hit us with the next one.
What other jobs would the commanding officer have me doing, such as like scrubbing toilets or something else before I qualify my job?
Okay.
Sexual favors.
This is going to depend. This is
God.
going to depend on if you go submarines or not.
Yeah.
On submarines, you will most likely spend time during your qualifications as what they call an FSA, which is a food service attendant, or what was the derogatory name for it?
Crank.
Yeah,
Crank.
Which is just you like work for the cooks. So you set up for meals, you tear down cruise mess for meals, you do the dishes. Sometimes you smash trash in the trash compactor into the trash disposal unit cans. It's pretty unglamorous. It used to be much worse when you were cranking. It used to be very much you were the recipient of everybody's hazing, but that has kind of gone away now. I don't know if Patrick or Dakota can speak to carrier pre-qual life, but
I had to go crank in for 2.5 weeks, and it was because, as I talked about before, dude, I was very much engineering oriented. So when I went cranking out, it was like they were out of people to send.
Yeah, so when you're on a submarine, no one really cares what your rate is until you're actually qualified in submarines and participating in your rate. So you have to qualify submarines, and at the same time, you have to qualify whatever watches you stand, whether you're an ET, EM, or mechanic, or an ELT, which we can get into what that is if you want. But I don't know what pre-qual life is like on a carrier. I imagine it's easier because there's so many more people. But you won't scrub toilets, if that helps.
Okay.
Who scrubs the toilets on a submarine?
A-gang.
A-gang.
Really, it's part of post-watch cleanup, but nukes are never assigned to the heads.
Yeah, so nukes are always.
So I guess that's 1 point for the nuke column.
Hell yeah.
Cleaning responsibilities
You're gonna have
are.
berthing cleaners. You're gonna go to berthing cleaners. You're gonna fucking scrub heads.
There you go.
It's whatever. It's pretty cake, really. At the end of the day, throw on your speaker, fucking jam some tunes, scrub the fucking head. Whatever.
There is worse things to clean.
Fuck yeah, there is.
Yeah.
We have a fucking fuel leak, dude.
Yeah.
Do you want me to ask an easy question or a hard question next?
You choose.
Whatever, man.
Okay, I'll ask the hardest one I have, I think.
Okay.
What do you think the Navy is doing right and doing wrong?
Okay.
It's so loaded, I think.
All right.
I think we should go one by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kenny, Joe, Dakota, Patrick, Mikey. Oh, not Mikey.
Oh, I'm going.
He's frozen. He's also listed before Patrick on the recording.
Try to keep the answers short, though, too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What the Navy is
you're
doing
good,
right. The Navy has increased the amount of money that they're paying everybody, especially nukes. There's this like trope that goes around, especially in the submarine community, which is the Navy can reward you in two ways. They can give you money, they can give you time, and they're sure as shit not going to give you more money. That was the running joke. But now the Navy is literally giving nukes as much money as Congress will let them. But they figured that out. I don't think it's enough still for what the job is, but they are paying more money. What they're doing wrong, it's hard to say, not being directly in it right now, as far as like day-to-day life. But when I was in, the thing that they were doing wrong was just like letting politics have such a dramatic role in day-to-day life. Like if you had a good direct leader, a good chief, your life could be dramatically better than if you had a bad chief. And it was just because like they had this much pull in the chief's quarters, and the chief's quarters had this much pull in the department head officers, and then they had pull with the captain, and it just trickled down so clearly. And I wish that wasn't a thing. I wish if you were a good sailor, it didn't matter who your leaders were, and you could promote and be recognized and all the good things about the Navy, but politics play too big of a role. That's my answer.
Joe?
Yeah. I mostly agree with Kenny because my first instinct was going to be, money, like fat ass bonuses. And what I think is not great, I think really just the way leadership works, period. Like he said it pretty succinctly, but I think just leadership, at least in my experience, leadership left a lot to be desired, and that not just like how it's going to affect your work life, but like just how you interact with people. It really makes or break your experience. If you have good people, you'll probably have a good time. If you don't,
let me say one more positive, since Joe said the same as mine. Another thing that the Navy's gotten right is really dialing back the hazing. And this is, I don't know if it's still going to be like, we got trained on anti-hazing stuff like every month, at least every quarter. But when we first showed up, me, Mike, and Joe, me and Mike, not so much Joe, he showed up in shipyard, but when we first showed up, hazing was kind of everywhere, and we got it. We had it better than the guys that came before us, and they had it better than the guys that came before them. But by the time we got out of the Navy, so much of it has been phased out that I think it's a really good thing. It's not necessary.
Dakota?
Not to just copy Kenny and Joe, but they stole my answers actually. So the good
You have a consensus.
is that the Navy is trying really, really hard to make it better for the sailors. They may not get it right all the time, but they are definitely trying, and they are getting it right sometimes. So whether that's more money, changing the culture, it's changed a lot even in the last 10 years. When Kenny and Mike and I all joined in 2013. And then bad is exactly what Kenny said. I mean, it's crazy how even if you're a good sailor, you can still end up holding the bag, basically, just based on the people you work for. And it shouldn't really be that way, but it is. And there's not really a good way, I don't think, to fix it. And the Navy doesn't really seem interested in fixing that one. So I think the Navy knows that they have bad people in leadership positions, but they have to eat that because they need people in leadership positions. So it's kind of a
Catch-22.
it's a self-licking ice cream cone. As
Wow.
I always like to put that on. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Patrick?
I mean, shit, I haven't been in since 2022, so I can't really speak for the pay. But if everybody's getting paid more, that's awesome. Okay, think back to the summer or January 6th riots, right? You remember this? Okay, and we had a fucking stand down 2 months later for extremism in the ranks, right? You remember that?
Yep.
Were you there for that, Kenny?
Yep.
Okay, so shortly after that, Afghanistan fell. You know, like didn't even get a fucking email. Don't talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
the United States, biggest military-industrial complex on the fucking planet, right?
Where's this going?
Lost a war. Not even a meeting happened. No brief. Nothing.
I see what you're saying.
That's where the politics comes in. And
Yeah, let me tie this back to Ethan real quick.
Okay.
Your political stance, be where it may, will not always align with your command leadership, your Navy leadership, and too fucking bad. Like it doesn't matter. When you're in the military, you do not have a political stance. You're not allowed to have a political stance.
You're not.
The military and their priorities are your priorities. You fight their wars, whatever your political stance is. So
I would say things the Navy does well as a whole, and I know Kenny and Amber are going to laugh at this one, but you get steady pay. You're going to always have a paycheck. I know for a while you guys didn't get.
I was going to say, or you don't get paid and then they pay you back and they're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. But you're always going to have a steady paycheck, even when the government shuts down.
Yeah, it is recession.
You're always going to. Yep. So it's recession proof. You're always going to get paid. You're going to have some really good benefits when you get out, especially if you end up with some kind of medical issues through the VA. Although the VA does suck in a capacity, they are working towards making it a little friendlier for veterans. You'll have your GI Bill. That way you can pursue whatever education you want to afterwards.
On that shit.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah. You have the you have a lot of free resources, as much as a lot of people don't utilize them as much. Things like we use the USO a lot because the USO would do a food pantry. And when we were living in San Diego, that helped us out a lot because San Diego is one of the highest, most expensive in active duty ports that for housing allowance that and cost of living that we have in the States.
Keep that in mind. If and when you end up in the Navy, there is a fuckload of resources that you probably won't be made aware of through your chain of command. And so
yes,
seek those out and find out, like, do your due diligence to find out what's available to you and take full advantage.
I would like to start like an Uber service for like drunk sailors, right? That's
You
like
make a fortune. Yeah.
Yeah, it's government funded. Just like, hey, just go pick up drunk sailors, dude. Send them back to the boat.
Yeah.
That they already do that. That's the
They tried that.
Hang on, let Mikey finish.
Okay. My thing that I think that the Navy does not do well, and we kind of touched on it a couple times, but it's retention of the good sailors that could really make a difference. I know Kenny and I had talked about it a lot on the boat, and if we had not ended up so jaded, it may have swayed us at some point or another to maybe want to have that thought again about staying in for longer. But
It's
just
not even
that
us.
tied into
all the good people that we knew.
Yeah, all the good guys
almost all
that
of them got out. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll meet guys and you'll be like, I really wish that I could work for this guy, or this guy would make a great chief, senior chief, master chief. This guy would make a great captain of a ship. And most of the time, the guys that are really good, they really milk the teat dry until it's chapped and bruised. And then you get out. So, but yeah, that's retention is my thing that I think the Navy sucks at the most.
I want to add, because there's things that I think you guys didn't talk about. But like when you get out, you have to figure out insurance. The Navy just gives that to you. And while
Yeah,
you're
that's true.
in, it doesn't seem like it's good. But when you get out, it's like, oh, this is worse.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good.
there are
good
lots
point.
of good benefits.
Yeah, every time you go on, if you go onto any branch's website and you look at like the pay chart, it always gives you a number and they put a very teeny tiny asterisk in there when it's talking about like equivalent benefit pay. That's usually what it's talking about.
Yeah. E1s don't actually make $75,000, but they do have access to very comprehensive insurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I have three questions. I got rid of the ones I already knew the answers to.
Okay.
Okay.
How much danger would I be on a sub or a boat?
Sub or a ship? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, you're good.
Don't worry about it, Ethan.
It depends. Like if there's no war, very little. The Navy is very safe, very good at operating their $1 billion plus assets. There's not a whole lot. I mean, things happen.
Yeah.
But also that's why your training is so extensive,
Yep.
so that you are less at risk.
As far as being a nuke, you're not at any additional risk at all. That you'll learn all about that, but yeah. And I mean, if a war happens, and then you're going to be in more danger than we will. But you're not inherently in very much danger being on an operational command in the Navy.
I would say that's if you like basically do what you're supposed to. Like safety is taken very seriously, like tagouts or whatnot.
Yes.
Like 3,000-pound compressed oil or like 4,500-pound air inherently is dangerous. But if you just follow all the procedures of how to handle that shit, or like a catastrophic failure, like can you say it's not inherent or not at more risk.
Has there been a catastrophic failure ever?
Sure. Like I mean, we've lost ships. We've lost submarines. Do you know about the USS Thresher? Like the Thresher sank because they had a system failure. But when things like that happen, the Navy and the military as a whole make these gigantic course corrections to make sure that things like that never happen again. And it's been a very long time since the United States Navy has lost a submarine. A very long time.
The last time we lost a submarine was not due to any war or conflict.
That's right.
I think the most recent like catastrophic event was the Connecticut, I think it was, that hit the underwater mountain.
San Francisco, right?
That was a San Fran.
Yeah. No. The Connecticut also, it literally happened a couple years ago.
Okay.
Like 2 or 3 years ago. It's very similar event, but
did we lose the ship entirely?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with the San Francisco head-on collision with an underwater mountain, and one guy died.
One.
Yeah. One guy.
One. The last ship that we lost was the Miami, and it was in shipyard, and a shipyard worker started a fire on it, which was a total loss of the submarine.
And also,
So,
nobody died.
Nobody died.
He
So
got
that was the
fired,
last
though.
time that happened.
He got fired and went to jail.
Well, he
Yeah.
got to go home that day, I guess, like he
Yeah.
wanted. But
Just don't forget that the military is a dangerous profession to be in because at any time you could be in a war. But as for which rate you pick, it's not going to really change how much danger you're in, whether you're
Yeah.
a
gonna
nuke
be
or not.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, there is surface ships in the Middle East right now shooting missiles out of the air. I mean, shit happens. Would those guys say that they're in danger? Maybe.
Who was it that said their friend was in the shipyard their entire time in the Navy, never even went underway?
Okay.
That's my buddy Luke, who I work with
Yeah.
now.
So you could be that kind of guy on the shipyard the whole time, or you could be at sea your whole time. So those people's levels of danger are different too.
it's a dice roll.
I went on my deployment right after the USS Fitzgerald happened. I don't know if you know about that. It was a destroyer that got crashed into by I don't know the details, but I think it was like a Chinese merchant vessel, you know. And a bunch of sailors died on it, you know. And then when I was on deployment, I was actually on watch one night, 2 to 7 watch in the engine room. And then all of a sudden they fucking start the gas turbines up full speed. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on, you know? Really, where the fuck are we going?
Yeah.
And so I got off watch, went to quarters that morning, and my divo, he's like, hey, we had just left Malaysia. We partied in Malaysia, and before that we were in Singapore. We partied in Singapore. But my divo was like, hey, we're going back to fucking Singapore as fast as possible. And we're like, why? My divo was like, well, the USS John S. McCain, it got ran into, pulling into Singapore, dude, by a fucking, I think it was also a Chinese merchant vessel. It was like the summer of the fucking Chinese crashed into our ships. But, they crashed into that ship and they limped it into port. And we had to go fucking render aid to that ship. Dude, myself and another were the first ones to board that ship once we got to back to Singapore. We sailed all day, full fucking speed, dude. Got there like 6 o'clock in the evening. And we boarded the ship and had to fucking isolate a bunch of systems that were leaking because this fucking thing, dude, it broadsided like the starboard side of their ship and ripped a hole in a fucking berthing. Flooded it solid. Everybody that was in their fucking racks, dude, gone. So we were there like that whole fucking week just trying to get that ship to keep from sinking in port, right? And assisting divers on like body recovery.
Damn.
So you never know, man. You never know. Like we're pulling into fucking Singapore, a bunch of guys fucking ready to party, like ready to have a good time, and some shit happens, and it's a goddamn shame, really.
Yeah.
Ethan, you're never gonna have a story like that at a desk job.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. It was either this or a police officer for me. Like those are my two big things I was gonna go into.
What are you doing right now?
I was a 911 operator, and I think it was the 20th biggest city in the U.S. So a lot of calls, a lot of stuff like that. It was kind of stressful, but not as much as it was for other people, I guess.
I mean, that's plenty high stress job for it to not be a culture shock for you when you're experiencing the high stress nature of Navy life.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to join the military. I was going to join when I turned 18, but my mom came down with cancer. So I wanted to stay and make sure she got better. Well, she's completely fine now. They got it all out. She's doing way better. That's why I'm trying to re-enlist now. Not re-enlist, but go enlist now.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Okay. Something you always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that helps having.
How does she feel about that?
She's the one who's pushing for it.
Yeah.
She says
my mom was also the main push for me to join the military.
She says she thinks it'll be good for me to get some structure in my life and set up a future.
You'll have that.
That's what my mom said.
Did it work, Dakota?
Yeah. I grew up in the Navy. I wasn't a grown up before the Navy. I was a fucking punk kid, you know? Can you remember?
Sure do.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard the
Tell me
stories.
shit when I was 19, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My second to last question is it worth staying 20 years so you can get the retirement bonus?
Wrong crew to
It's a
ask. I
Yeah,
guess.
you're
It's
saying this to a bunch
personal-
of people who are already out well
I
before
mean,
20.
true. I just wanted to
Yeah.
see
Look, man,
Um,
in theory,
It's very personal.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get a paycheck for the rest of your life for doing fucking nothing. In practice, 20 years is a very long time.
So,
Yeah.
Patrick, had the
Yes.
circumstances not happened to you, would you still be in? Would you have been a lifer?
I was gonna get out anyway, I thought, but I was living day to day. Still do, really. So I mean, I could have fucking last minute re-enlisted. I didn't really know what the fuck was going on. Still don't. But
Yeah, Ethan, I think you'll answer that question for yourself.
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely where you stand and what you're good at, where you feel comfortable.
It's a great perk, but you gotta earn it. So you have to weigh whether it's worth it to you.
It's a grind.
Because your life will change so much in between all those things that the answers that you think you want now will be different in even 4 years.
Okay.
Especially if you do at least re-enlist once and go to shore duty. Like for most of us, we got around like 9 or 10 years. I think a lot of us probably thought, okay, can I do what I just did again?
Right.
Can I do 10 more years of this shit? And obviously we all said no, because that's why we're all out.
Yeah,
But we also
I mean,
know
look,
for various reasons.
that's right.
Yeah,
exactly. Your world could be wholly different in 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, and it's going to be you'll make that decision.
I've heard
Yep.
the turnover rate for nukes is insanely high.
It is very high, but it's not as high as you think.
Okay.
It's like they have like an 83% retention rate.
Okay.
So it's not insane. It's high. Like if that happened at Google, they would be freaking the fuck out. But plenty of people stay in, and a lot of people make it a career. It's not unheard of.
Okay. My last question is completely unrelated from the Navy at all.
Cool.
It's why did you name the podcast this, and what made you start a podcast?
That's a great question.
I
That's
love
a
this
great
question.
All right. Well, I'll tell you the truth. The podcast was not originally called this. It was called the Midwatch Podcast. And we found out after filming our first episode that there was already a Midwatch podcast by a couple of submarine guys on Spotify. So we changed it to Too Fast, Too Fast. Too Fast, Too Fast came about. Is this unclassified?
It's unclassed, yeah.
Okay. So
What do you think, Mike? Is it? It's gotta be, right?
why did we start a podcast? Well, the friends that I made, which are all the people that are around the screen right now, and more people that have been on this show, are the best friends I've ever had in my whole life. And they will be probably until the day that I die. And when you're not working with those people every day, and you're not seeing them every day, and you're not experiencing the same trauma together like we were for 10 years of our lives, you can kind of drift apart, and everyone gets their own life, and they start families, and they get new jobs and all that. But I didn't want that to happen, and I wanted to reconnect with all of my best friends. And so we started a podcast.
That's awesome.
I don't know what if
But
you guys
also-
have a different reason for why you participate. Feel free to share. But
Yeah, no,
I'll say I got invited on 30 minutes before it
First time
happened.
guest.
because Kenny is like, "Hey, do you want to be on the podcast? I'm working." I was like, "Yeah, sure." When? He's like, 20 minutes. LOL. I was like, "Well, I get off in 20 minutes, so fuck it. Why not?" So yeah, sure.
My thing with joining is I'm very big on people getting as much information as possible, as easily as possible. And so being able to do something where we can either talk to vets or civilians or people trying to enlist just like you, and be able to funnel that information out to anyone that doesn't have it and wants it. I'm super a part of that. But again, I lived with Kenny and Amber when we first got assigned to the ship together. I've been friends with them ever since. And it's just, it's a camaraderie and a feeling of family. especially from my background, not having any family. And then when I joined the military, that was my family. So being able to stay connected with these people that I love like family. So
Family.
family.
Yeah,
family.
the conversations that
sleepy.
we have, the conversations that we have on the podcast are the conversations that we have every day on the boat. We talk about certain things and it's more structured, but I mean, when you spend 8 hours strapped in a box with the same guys,
minimum,
yeah. You talk a lot about a lot of shit.
Yeah, I think something that isn't really talked about a lot is that when you get out of whatever service, there's like a inherent shock to the system almost of like, well, now what? Where did my family go? Where did my friends go? And you try to like live through that for a while, and then you're like, well, but why? I don't have to be apart from them.
Can I steal some time back? Because now everybody's getting all serious. I wanted to be funny, but yeah. All right. But yeah, because like, so I said I go to college, right? Full-time student. So obviously the majority of the people I like interact with are like 10 years younger than me, and we're just like at different stages in our life, and for the most part it's just awkward. Like we're just not similar people for the most part. Cool, we go to the same class in the same college, but
you should join a frat.
You have an unparalleled life experience.
Yes. And a lot of people in the age groups below like 25. Unless they were in the military, I see it a lot.
All right, Ethan, can I ask you a question before we go?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I want to
I
hear
didn't get a chance.
Sorry, Dakota, go ahead.
It's because we're his friends. That's it.
No, yeah. Kenny's my best friend in the entire world, and I consider him to be family. Him and his family are in my family. He's like a brother. He's my brother. And when he asked me to be on a podcast, I said absolutely. So I just wanted to hang out.
Kenny
that's all it was.
Yeah, I need a break so I can go cry. All right, Ethan, I want to know unfiltered what your thoughts were about what you were going to do before you came on, and then anything that you maybe think differently about now, or what your thoughts are moving forward.
Well, before I came on, I wasn't quite sure about anything I asked you. I had no clue about the answers to that, right? So I didn't know what I'd be doing after school, because I thought it would be like scrubbing toilets or some like grunt work or something, you know. I didn't know what.
Shame in that, though. No shame in that.
Yeah, I agree. No shame in that, but it's not what I would want to be doing, you know.
So what were you leaning? Which direction?
I was leaning towards either nuke or maybe cybersecurity.
Okay.
But now I'm like almost 100% nuke. I feel like it'd be a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, look, one day you'll have 100 friends to ask to join a podcast with you, and they will do it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your questions with us. And if you need anything throughout the next however long, feel free to reach out and let us know.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ethan, let us know if you end up joining, and we'd like to have you back on the podcast if you end up joining and going off to nuke school.
Sounds great. I will. I will sign my contract. I'm pretty sure Thursday.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Hell yeah, dude. Congratulations.
Enjoy that check.
That's not the nuke's contract. That's another contract, because I have to do the nuke one with my recruiter. Which. Yeah.
Yep.
You can buy us a round of drinks next time.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Good luck to you.
Brother, take it easy.
Bye, Ethan.
Bye.
Okay.
Games.
Yeah. So we're going to play 50-50-90. Patrick, have you ever heard that phrase before?
No.
All right. So 50-50-90 is this nuke stereotype where if nukes are given a 50-50 question that they don't know the answer to, 90% of the time they get it wrong. And so we do 50-50 trivia. Amber gives us some questions. We make a guess, and we try to beat that stereotype, and we'll see who wins. And then to close the show, she'll give us a hypothetical situation. We'll all come up with an answer, and she'll pick the best one, and then we'll stop the recording.
Okay.
All right. Amber, take it away.
Okay, so it's going to go Joe, Kenny, Patrick, Dakota, and then Mike.
Okay.
These are true and falses tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Joe. Blue eyes are newer to the human race than pottery. True or false?
True.
True.
False.
True.
I'm gonna say true.
It is true.
All right.
That's
All right.
A 2008 study traced the gene for blue eyes to a person who lived 10,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago. Some of the world's oldest pieces of pottery dated back to 20,000 years ago.
Damn.
Okay, number 2. Joe. 50 Cent and Charlie Chaplin were alive at the same time. True or false?
Geez, that's a good one. I'm gonna say true because I'm pretty sure 50 Cent is older than everybody thinks he is.
False.
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 I'm gonna go, weirdly enough, I'm gonna agree with true.
It is true.
Fuck.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Chaplin died when he was about 2.5 years old.
What year was that?
Oof. I didn't gather that information.
God damn
Probably
it.
60 something, right?
70s, 60s, 70s, something like
I
that.
would say 57 was
I'll
born
find out.
in
Keep going, Amber. I'll Google it.
70, maybe.
He died 1977.
There you go. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin died in 1977? That's
Yes.
insane.
That is wild.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give you that one.
Why was
Did
that
you know-
poser? Why was that poser making black and white movies?
He was
Right.
born in 1889.
Holy shit,
When do you think he was making?
dude! That means Charlie Chaplin died.
Damn.
Charlie Chaplin died way after it was okay to have a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think he had it for that long.
Like way fucking after.
Damn it.
Yeah.
You gotta bring it back, Kenny.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Did you know Picasso died in 1973?
Jesus
Mhm.
Christ! What was his Hitler stash?
I know
like?
Picasso. Everybody thinks Picasso was like a fucking Renaissance artist for some reason.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks everyone is a Renaissance artist.
I
Yeah,
guess.
sure.
Yeah, don't
All
get me
right,
started on
Joe.
art.
I know.
Picasso, the fifth Ninja Turtle.
Not fucking Baroque
I
Rembrandt.
hate you for saying that.
All right, number 3. Trees existed before sharks. True or false?
Shit.
False.
False.
Fuck it. True.
False.
It's false.
It is false.
Sharks are.
Damn
false.
it.
My daughter's on a dinosaur kick, so I can tell you all of the
Dude,
eons.
Sharks and alligators you don't fuck with because they've survived everything.
The earliest
horseshoe
shark
crabs.
fossil dates back to 420 million years ago. The first trees appeared on Earth about 408 million years ago.
3 for 3.
50, 50, 90.
All right, number
Get you every
4.
time.
Joe, Michigan is larger than Great Britain. True or false?
That's a well. Jeez.
False. I don't know why.
This is square miles, including
Yeah.
land and water.
I'm gonna say
Oh,
land
shit.
and water.
Wait, so
I
you
wanna
count,
say
like-
true anyway, just because I don't know. Brennan's kind of like stretched out,
How much water
kind
does
of
Britain
long and
own?
narrow.
Wait, so Joe, you're saying
That's
true
the same
Michigan
thing in
is-
Ireland too.
Yeah, I'm saying Michigan is larger than Great Britain. Wait, we're just talking about Great Britain or all of you? No,
Great
fuck
Britain.
it. True.
Great
I'm
Britain.
gonna say true anyway.
Great Britain
Is-
includes Wales and some of Ireland.
No.
No.
Yes.
I thought Great Britain was just the UK
Wales, though.
and Scotland.
When Wales participates in the Olympics, they
That's
are Great
so
Britain.
wrong.
Wales.
Dude, I don't
I'll give
know.
them Wales. They don't,
I don't
they
know. I'm gonna say false. I think Great Britain's bigger.
We can't get this wrong because the international community will be pissed. That's like a big deal over.
Don't
in
worry,
America.
Joe. They're not watching.
Yeah, I know.
We're Americans. We don't know nothing.
fuck you up.
I'm gonna
right.
go on a limb and say Great Britain is bigger.
Okay, so you say false.
Me too.
Dakota.
I think Great Britain is bigger than Michigan.
So you say false. Mike. Sorry.
I think Michigan's bigger.
Michigan is larger than
Oh,
Great Britain.
come on.
God
Dude,
damn
I
it.
don't even know.
We fought a revolution
what
with those
the
bastards?
By like
I don't even know what it is.
2,000 square miles.
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
Okay, so
shit.
it's pretty close.
All right, so
How the
here's
fuck did they invade us in 1812?
Yeah, good
I'm
question.
gonna set us all straight on Great Britain. Okay,
Yeah.
Great Britain is
we
all the
should-
islands, so it's England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland.
Yeah.
The United Kingdom
All of
excludes.
Ireland?
No.
Yeah, because it's a geographical thing. Great Britain, it's just the land, right? Doesn't have anything to do with countries or anything.
That's all of that is smaller than Michigan.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
The United Kingdom, you separate out
No.
most of Ireland because they're their own country. You have a little bit at the top, which is Northern Ireland, that's technically part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
the kingdom also includes Scotland and Wales.
Dude, how am I
That's right.
supposed to know that?
That's,
You got it
How am I
right.
supposed to know that, Dakota?
What? Watch
So Great-
Welcome to
yeah,
Wrexham,
listen.
Mike.
Welcome
Great
to Wrexham is how
Britain.
I knew about Wales.
Yeah. Great
Mm.
Britain is the island of Britain comprising of England, Scotland, and Wales. That's it.
So not Ireland.
not Ireland.
So
That's
what's
not-
Northern
the
Ireland is the gray area.
what's it
The
called when you
act
include all
of
of it?
Union, United Scotland and England, and the Act of Union 1801 established the UK of Great Britain and Ireland.
All right.
That's what this is.
I had backwards.
Yeah.
Cut all of that. Cut all of that.
No. Keep
Thanks
it.
for trying to take it.
Cut all that shit, Kenny.
Okay, last question, Joe. Cumulus clouds weigh anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds. True or false?
How much does a fucking cloud? I don't know. True.
False. That has to be way more than that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Patrick?
I'm not a fucking nerd, so I don't know.
True or
We don't-
false?
We don't know.
Yeah, definitely false.
False.
They just gotta wait a lot. So false.
It has to.
It has to. It's
It's
a wall.
false.
All right.
It's false. Cumulus
Hey.
clouds can weigh more than 1,000,000 pounds.
There we go.
Hey.
Oh,
Patrick's
are
on the
you
board, and
the-
Joe is knocked off the perfect throne.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Joe probably still won. Maybe him and Mike tied. We'll find out. I'll put it in post.
All right, hypothetical question. We're going to go in reverse. So, Mikey, you start.
Okay.
I'll let you pick one or two.
2.
You can eliminate one basic need. Which do you pick? Eating, drinking, blinking, the bathroom, or sleeping? But like whatever you choose, like you're still, we'll call it satiated. So if you choose not to eat, you still feel full, but you don't have
That's
to.
crazy, because I actually fucking did this to my buddy at work not long ago. But it was just eating or drinking water.
Yeah.
Sleeping.
Weird. Bizarre.
Sleeping for sure. There's so much more shit I could accomplish. Whether it's professional or just for fun, I for sure would take away sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
As
Dakota?
also just as a parent, that I would love to have that time to do something else.
True.
Yeah. I'll back that up. Sleeping for sure. I got a lot of shit to do.
Dakota?
I don't know. I don't know because it's like, okay, I know that if I pick sleeping, that I'm never gonna feel tired, but I really like sleeping.
Me too.
But do I only like it because I need it, or do I like it just because I like it? Because I have a feeling that even if I didn't need to sleep, that I'd still want to because I like it. I love to sleep. So I think I think I'm gonna say food. Obviously I'll still eat because I like food, but
Yeah, you don't have to take you don't have to take shits anymore. Hell yeah.
I don't want to have to like think about always having to have the fridge or the pantry like have food in it, because that's like a constant thing. I'm like, oh, I need to go to the fucking grocery store again, and I just went. So
Sure.
I'm gonna say food.
That is true. Food would be the economical decision.
Economical, yes.
Yeah.
But if you have any skills, you can make money by staying awake.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, sleeping, when you first asked the question, sleeping was like the obvious answer to me. And it was only to get time back. But someone that pees as often as I do, I think I might choose to not have to go to the bathroom anymore, because I might save just as much time as sleeping.
True.
And I would still get
especially for you.
Yeah. And I would still get to have dreams and all the other fun things about sleeping. So I think I would choose getting ready to go into the bathroom.
Yeah, definitely not sleeping, because I don't fucking sleep much anyway. I never have, so don't fucking care.
God, I sleep like a motherfucker, dude. I'm like a mummy.
Well, this is a tough one to pick the best.
So what's your answer?
Maybe we don't.
Yeah, what's
he said
Joe's
sleep.
answer?
I said sleep. I don't want to sleep anymore.
He said he doesn't sleep. He said he
Okay,
doesn't sleep to
gotcha.
begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I can pick the best one.
you have to.
So I think I'm gonna pick Dakota with
Mhm.
eating, because I
Mhm.
still think that you could to get like a flavor in your mouth, but to not have to fill a pantry or a refrigerator, because we go every other day, would be cool. But I didn't even think about that.
Thanks, Amber.
You're welcome. Here for you.
All right.
I'm definitely winning the hypotheticals so far.
Did you see? I put a scoreboard on episode 5. We all had one. So in the very first episode, we didn't pick a favorite, and then since then, we had all 1-1. And then Mike won his second with infinite edging to death. And so now you and Mike are tied with two victories.
I haven't watched episode 5 yet because that just came out today, right?
It just came out today. So we'll call that an episode. Before we go, Patrick, thank you for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to say before we cut?
Nah, man. I mean, thanks for having me on.
Cool.
You know, like it's a good time.
Yep. Anytime you want, come on back.
Cool.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Dive. Code red and 4 compartment middle level.
Torpedoes in the water!
No, I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.